Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day, and hope you all saw in the picture. So this is what the book which I'm going to spend the next few minutes. Okay, so this book, which is getting started, we all have this common experience of procrastination. So it is not something new he has invented, but there are some, I would say, the different way how you look at it. So if you look at it, sometimes the to-do list, to-do list is something which keeps growing. Sometimes I saw even my 2022 to-do list are still yet to be completed. To-do list is the same way. But he did not talk about the kind of psychological impact what it creates. It doesn't talk about any gyan. The book doesn't talk about a gyan. It talks about a psychological aspect which happens to a human being when talk about procrastination. So he talked about one of the struggle, I would say, to the human mankind, I would say, the procrastination. And this book is based on certain philosophies and science. So I will take the next few minutes into listing down the three things which I love the most in the whole book. Also, the three things why this book makes more special. Also, I have one or two recommendations which I will post tagging the author end of the meeting today. Let's see how it goes on. The first one is, he talks about the activation energy. It is more of the moment you decided to do something big. For example, I always have this kind of reluctance on me when I wake up this happens about 2 weeks back. I wake up at 7 in the morning, the Sunday morning, the routine is, most of you do that, I'll go for the shopping of which is about meat. After that, my days can start. So when I come back, it was a little drizzling. Still I thought, okay, the air may not be there in my cycle. I thought if it fully rains, what will drain? I thought, okay, I'll start at least 10 kilometers around Velachery and come back. So that even if it rains, I have the shelter of the metro in the Velachery. The first point is about the activation energy. The moment you start procrastinating, the biggest thing what we talk about is if you want to get running, just put on your shoes. Need not to think about running a marathon of 20 kilometers or 10 kilometers. The first one is about the activation energy. The moment you decided to do something, just start small. The second one is the perfectionism trap. Everybody, most of you, even I do that. When I write a Toastmasters speech, even a club speech or a contest one or prepare for any other contest, perfectionism get into me, and always I look for when will I do that, why will I do that, if I do that will I be equivalent with somebody who is best in the class. So the perfectionism trap is the one thing. He says there is no better time, or I would say the best time to write for it, start right now. So one of the things which I used prominently in this professionalism versus the time to start is in terms of preparing speeches. So what I do most of the time is I have this Google Docs, and the moment idea comes to my mind, I'll just put one-liner and I'll start building upon that in back of my mind. It is more like just prepare only 2-3 minutes of a speech, come back and deliver one more time, it becomes the whole perfect speech end of the time. So the perfectionism trap. The third one is the small wins mentality. That's what the author mentioned about it, the small wins mentality. This is more about the small tiny actions, which we said is starting is one thing. The second one is at least you need to have some kind of actions to be taken. The small tiny actions will help you to get out of this procrastination as a psychological impact. So the second one is why does this book makes a little more special comparing the other learnings what we had. Number one is, as I already mentioned, he doesn't talk about a professor kind of a topic. It is not a lecture. It is more of a science, how it is related and how this can be improved. That's number one. Number two is it has a practical theory. It has a practical examples, or I would say the tools. It is not only the theory. It is not about a theory. He talks about how to do that. He talks a couple of things like he has a time box checklist sprints. He utilized it, he used it, and he presented it again. Also, how can we build accountability and everything. It is a practical tip rather than a theoretical one. The third one is he draw the examples from the science and psychology, not from the gyan or a theory to that. One of the things which I felt, or I say two of the things which I felt could be improved for this book would be, one is there are many times in the topics there is an overlap happening, the repeatability factor. When I read the second chapter and when I gone back to the fourth chapter, there are a couple of examples I felt is a repeatability which can be avoided, and also there are different people are there in their life. There are different people how they, one size doesn't fit all kind of a feedback I have. It means not everything can be applied to everybody. Maybe someone like me, I may procrastinate, I may think that writing one line might help me, but there will be somebody who are writing so much and they want to pick up from that have procrastination. So if he had considered something related to the people, different solutions, it would have been easy for all of us. Overall, it gives you a quick read, I would say, and the science behind it, why do we procrastinate, why we should not procrastinate, and if you start small and celebrate the wins, I'm sure it is going to help you to get out of this psychological block. Over to you.
Thank you.